curious to see if we see any changes in play style for this last match, but I think when you only have 3 opportunities, you shouldn't mix up too many things in terms of drops. But for Xweez and Floki, they're going to be starting off strong with a quick knock, and all it's going to take is one more shot onto Fast Strokey to clean it up. Floki, Xweez now are going to be starting off with yet again another 2 eliminations.
And you know what makes that scary? You know what makes that situation scary? Fast Strokey, Robon, 52 points, 18th place. They are in danger. They have to watch this one out and hope all those players below them don't have any big games. And that's why we're seeing all these contested fights and how they really play out throughout the day. Is Hijoe and Kytofv 8 points. It's almost all or lower bracket here. And they're going to go ahead and do exactly what Levin said earlier on to start the day. Split the drop, free shields on one side, but more of the loot is going to be on the other side.
Now both players have 200 effective HP and shield. They do have that advantage. However, depending on how the loot looked for the opposing duos, it could even up here. But as you can see, as they do get that slurp truck, they're going to go instantly to try and play aggressive and see if they can get a quick knock. It looks like the initial shot is going to be connected. Hijoe now going to reposition himself and continue shooting.
Yeah, being very, very careful. He knows a lot of the space is already owned by them. EMP comes out. That's going to separate and buy them a little bit of time. Hijoe does not heal, and it works out as Truly goes down. He tries to push in and finish that elimination. Now Ace Frax just by himself with less than 50 HP. He has a dream to try to survive, and that dream turned to a nightmare. Back to the lobby for him and back to the lower bracket.
Good news is they have another chance, Jacob. Another opportunity, 3 more matches, but it's draining. It's mentally draining for the players who don't make it here in the upper bracket. So we'll see if they can hold on, if they have that competitor mentality to keep going. Hijoe and Nebs, 1 elimination on the board. I think they're going to be 3-0 at Grimgate today. They've been looking unstoppable here.
Yeah, I don't even really see Tusi Karmi anywhere else, or at least the solo, because you see they got 1 elimination so far, but the fights will not slow down. A lot of these players that are low on the leaderboard, it's all or nothing. You need eliminations. You need a good, well-placed game on top of that one. So that's why you're seeing a lot of the early game action going down. And I can't say it's only going to involve the teams lower on the leaderboard, because sometimes they might just fight whoever's in front of them. That means that you're at the top of the leaderboard, middle of the pack. You might end up having to defend your game.
Bit of a sandwich situation here. It's never one you want to be in, as even if you start the engagement and come out on top, you'll likely go down to the third party. Here we have Flixie Rico. Levin was talking about it. Flixie had an insane clutch in the previous match, but now with his duo back in the game, the confidence must be at an all-time high. 64 points for these players. I believe the estimate to qualify is around 58 points, so they should be in good standings. But with these 2 eliminations, those extra 8 points could be everything.
Yep. 4 more right here. They picked up 8. The elimination still, time and time again. Another team's going to come in his Cheeps, in his Turtle. Probably hearing this fight, thinking like, hey, we might be able to take part of this. And now that they got a good portion of the loot, they can actually choose to disengage, depending on what they actually came for here. If they want Surge, they might stay here. But other than that, I feel like they put themselves in a good position to try to disengage. On the other side, Vico and Flixie, you're talking about the points. Flixie essentially qualified for the grand finals by himself in that last game.
He did. I mean, that's a way to do it. Which is why Vico was on socials being like, I have the best duo ever. Let's go. Vico's or Flixie's insane. But look, the job's not finished, Jacob. You don't want to just qualify on the edge.
No.
You want to show your dominance. As Merstash and Malibuka, they are, or should be at least, uncontested, which is why they might be choosing to play a bit aggressive here in the early game to see if they can get a bit of damage. They already have the mythic loot, but Merstash is going to disengage.
They're a team that, with the red line rig, they could take a lot more risk, get a lot more opportunities. They kind of do both, whether they go into zone rather quickly, using those nitro rings to kind of stagger themselves back, knowing that the zone is pulling in their favor. Teams will have to rotate through them. And because they're so quick to formulate that strategy, you don't really run into too much opposition until the later portions of the game. Sky and Scroll. You see them just kind of rotating around. 88 players still left in the lobby. Very, very early in the game, and a lot of the teams haven't rotated just yet to the Cactuses, but as I saw that, you see Queasy and Thomas.
A lot of duos here. Even if they did secure a knock, you got to be careful for going for the finish. Sandy Steps is an incredibly popular location for a lot of these duos. Shots are going to be trying to get connected by Teeny and Chat, but I think they found a solo kind of lurking in one of the buildings in the surrounding area here. If they can pick this elimination up quickly, it could be more than enough.
And you know they like to fight. We're not a team that strays away from those opportunities, but this is that same building every time. It scares me just a little bit due to those half walls, the broken walls, the ones you can't really build to protect yourself, and that's where Werix was able to land some good shots, slow down Teeny momentarily, and allow him to disengage for free.
Do they know where he is? Is the pursuit on or not? No. That little scare from Teeny and Chap has caused them to say, you know, maybe we can go somewhere else. We can loot up again. We can keep farming. That was a close one. But if they do end up finding Werix here as a solo, even they can most likely hear or even get the visual cue from the footsteps, knowing that he might be close by. Uh-oh. This could be bad, Jacob.
Ooh, I was gonna say this could be a nice 1v1 opportunity. Oh, nice shot there. This is gonna be the best shot he got. Chap goes down, but the shots go through the builds. Teeny with the quick cleanup, saving the day, because even Teeny was weak. That would have been a best case scenario if he was able to clean up the knock on the Chap, buy a couple seconds, at least pop some minis, but that chance is done and gone. Chap and Teeny survive yet again, and their forecast tower is up for grabs, as it seems.
I wonder if they saw like the weapon, as I believe when he went right in the tunnel, he just kind of ran right in, but then when he was going towards Werix, he kind of hesitated a little bit and shows the right-hand peek as he was crouched like behind a storage container or something. Might have saw his shotgun peeking out a little bit. Reason for deal, they have the surge base set up. Once again, a reminder, you know, why is there so many surge bases in this side of the map? You can see kind of that cactus by reason. They're spread out all over this location, and when you pickaxe them, you do get a bit of extra shield, so you can kind of use that to take some shots, and even if you take damage, you can just recuperate that shield without having to use any bigs or minis. This is what I was talking about. He kind of went directly to the right without hesitating, but then when he went back to where Werix was, he did the right-hand peek side, so he was a little suspicious of that corner, and it ended up saving him. Hardest in his duo, though. 2 eliminations.
Fire hunchers around here, and this is where Nitro Jump, there's a lot of cactuses. There's a triple cactus up the road at a little kind of hut garage base. That's where you see a lot of the teams boxed up on for their points. Artisan Fire Hunter, not too much difference going down from them, as the bunkers now beginning to open up around the map, allowing for players that might not have the best loot starting off to kind of use those as a focal point to try to pack a punch with their loadout.
So we've had 2 east zones. Will the trend continue, or will it change?
Yep. Does mind games too as a player. You see the zone for the first couple games going one direction, you're like, okay, this is the type of day we're gonna have. But in the next game, it goes a whole different direction, changing things up. Really forced to be on your toes, but for Axe Force and a lot of these players around this portion of the map, no matter where the zone goes, it's business as usual. Need those cactuses. You need Surge. We were talking about it through day 1 and day 2. The threshold for Storm Surge in Zone 6 is the highest it's been all season long, and not just by a little bit, by more than a full elimination.
Teeny and the Feet actually going to pick up an elimination. It's going to be the 2nd elimination for the duo. Destru, though, looking to see if he can kind of take the sneaky route, get a 3-2-1 on his opponents down below.
It's a lot of waiting. They're going to be waiting a long time here, and they might not even still get that opportunity because, yeah, they can go up. That's where you're going to get the easiest shots on them, but they can also continue to just move through the boat. There is the nitro ring down below, and that's going to be honestly not only their safest escape, but probably their best escape, because then they get the nitro effect. They can build to protect themselves. I just hope they don't go up.
No, I think you're right. I wonder if the opponents that are playing slow will kind of keep that in mind and look down below under the nitro ring. You could still get quite a few shots in as they're flying through the sky. Lucia and Wheat in the center of Shipwreck Shallows. Looking a bit desperate for tags, which is as they should be doing here. There's just not any duos in the surrounding area. Literally the only duo in sight on the minimap is Thomas HD and Queasy, who are also in a surge base, so either they take shots back and forth or they find something else.
Just kind of give an update. I know we're looking for that top 25, and there are about 6 or so teams that are already down and out of game that are inside of that top 25. Some have more than enough points to be safe. Others might not be so much. It's going to come down to a photo finish at the end of this game, which kind of puts pressure on whether you're playing or not. You kind of watch and see how it all plays out. But Sky and Skrull, they push in, they attack Fadil, and this is a situation they need to survive. They are outside the threshold right now, or at least on the line, tied with a few other players. Reason needs to be able to stay alive, and that's why you see him disengaging. He has to be careful. I talked about the Nitrodrome, all these cactuses that are nearby, so there are so many teams boxed up in this position, waiting for an opportunity to spot out a solo just like him.
I need to see how Sky did that. The deal dropped in an instant. Literally a millisecond, and he was gone. Blink of an eye as Reason, like you said. Now, it's going to be tough, because if he goes down, it's going to be a path to the lower bracket. Will he try and clutch it out as a solo? Will he risk getting that reboot card? The issue is the reboot card is on a surge base with cactuses. If I'm Sky, I'm not moving from that location.
For multiple reasons there. And the thing about them, they already have their global championship spot secured from that last major. But these are two hungry competitors, man. They don't want to do bad in any tournament. They want to make every grand finals. This is good practice for that global championship, as Destru. This is the fight we were watching earlier. I thought they were just going to leave the boat, but they actually went down in them and chased them, giving them no chance for escape.
All or nothing. As we take a look at the Rift Island, this is normally where we'd see Murstache and Malabuka, but due to the different zone, we've got a few new duos here trying to claim it, taking shots back and forth. I don't believe has the flag been captured yet? No, it has not. So both players here looking to see if they can get their opponents off of it as the shots come through. No big one connected yet, though.
Yeah, but I like Zoom's confidence. He's continuously trying, especially when he doesn't even have that right-hand advantage to kind of break the build, but he's not giving up. Back-to-back pieces taken. Zoom lands a shot. Wasn't a lot of damage, but that looked clean for him. Squeezy on the other side, just trying to grab that extra angle. Asa and Ju just forced to reposition, build extra space for them on the other side, and they're even separated. They got to be careful not to get caught off guard, because with so much chaos going down, that could be an easy possibility.
Good news is they're quite centered in the zone right now. They have time to spend. The issue is they keep taking shots, they keep using heals, they keep using materials. You can see all that's left for Zoom is metal, the most scarce resource on the map that's going to be difficult to recuperate. Ideally, you could use more brick in this fight, but I don't even know if they're going to be able to fully close it out. As we look over to Podesai and Snazy up against our Game 2 winners, Cool and Voltiax, which was actually their first victory royale in an FNCS set lobby for both players.
Just like a tough situation to be in if you're a lot of these guys really just trying to make up a point gap. 48 points, Podesai and Snazy, 13th, 25th. Inconsistent games. Murstache is down. This could be a big win for Axe Force and Klowski. That's a lot of loot on the other side. That one's instantly going to cleaned up. Medallion was not in his inventory, though. Malabuka still has possession of that, but they do got that Mythic AR.
Yeah, I don't think they want to risk going fully in here, as they know that there's other duos in the surrounding area, but maybe with the confidence of having those cactuses behind them and now the mythic AR, it's going to bring them to pick up the rest. Malabuka, though, now has to get out of here. How many points is Mirage, Stash, and Malabuka at? I think they're in the top of the leaderboard, top 5, so they're kind of just playing to claim their zone here.
I mean, condition a lot of the teams around him again. It's almost like you forget about those dashes sometimes. They're not as prominent as they were in previous seasons, but they still deal a lot of damage and easily able to catch teams off guard. As Cade, Moran, they're still going up and higher, trying to get the elevation advantage, but now they're forced to go down low. Their opponents have. Moran's getting 2v1 for quite some time, but finally Cade is into the mix. Down goes Jakey. Twi's left by himself, but he meets that same fate. They are down and out of this game, sent back to the lobby, and they have some time with the break to think about how they're going to change things up for the lower bracket.
Cade has been on fire today. If it wasn't for the previous match where they went down early in game 1, they led the pack in terms of eliminations, and now once again, not missing a single shot. I know Cade is feeling good with the potential of going directly to grand finals after this match. Hellfire QB, on the other hand, 24 points. We talked about it. The estimate should be around 58 potentially, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. So they're going to need to have a pretty good game here.
It's going to be tough, but at least they pulled zone on their side. About like 13, 14. We'll just say 15 for the sake of it. Players outside of the top 25, or I should say full teams, still alive, trying to make something happen here. A few more just inside of that threshold. So with a few spots still left for grabs here in game number 3, points-wise, there's a lot of possibilities still to play out. And I think that's why, even as fast as the action has been going earlier on in the game, things have slowed down just a little bit.
Hijoe and Nebs have also been playing very well aggressively, dominating in the early game, but Moni and Lunex, I believe, started off with basically 0 points in the first match. Luckily enough, though, in the second one, they did pick up 28, so in a similar situation to Hellfire and QB, they need to make this game count, so they don't want to take too many risks, just like Reason here, who now might be going for the reboot card of the deal, but I think it's too late, actually, at this point. 422 below. 18 points needed. This is not looking good at all, Jacob. This is not looking good at all. A nightmare.
I was thinking, it's Reason, man. He can do it. But then I see 400 below the damage threshold. I'm like, oh, man. Hey, he can still do it. It might be like 1 in 1,000, but hey, 1 in 1,000 is still a chance here, especially with some teams going down. Snazy, Podesai being one of them, inch closer up that threshold, and now he spots out a solo by himself. Still not enough damage, even if he gets the elimination, but he's inching himself closer and closer, easing up the pressure. And since it is a 1v1, isolated towards the outside, not too many teams looking over in this direction just yet. But there is a full bunch of solos crowded around just south of where they are now, so Reason has to be careful. The fight might be worth it to get the loot, to get the points, to get the surge that you need. But becoming the focus of the lobby is a nightmare waiting to happen. Now Storm Surge activating Takata, it's going to get worse.
Have to go on a rampage here if he wants to stay up. He knows the player below him is a solo. Nitro right in the box. One quick pump to send him back to the lobby, down to the lower bracket, as Reason now has just recuperated that shield that he's lost, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Storm Surge might not even be active anymore.
Yep, that was
he might just be able to clutch it up.
That was the biggest thing about that elimination, is he's still down on Surge, but it turned off because he was able to drop it below that threshold. In Zone 7, though, it's going to have to drop down to 40 players. So Reason, he knows where he stands in sort of Storm Surge, but now he has to figure out where he's going to get the shots that are needed. With players rotating through the sky, this is going to be step number 1.
Locked in, focused. He sees the number now. That threshold that he needs to reach, it's 374. He's got about 55 seconds to do that much damage. Not too many options, but the first one in sight is going to be to push Turtle.
Yeah, that was a good opportunity. Turtle fell behind the curve, but Chiefs immediately turns around to try to lend that helping hand. Reason on the search has to go elsewhere. He's trying to take advantage of players that are distracted, sneak some shots in, not take that full risk. But that time is running out with every team starting to rotate faster and faster to zone. But also makes his way back, probably down on Surge as well. And Reason takes advantage of that one. Still below the damage threshold by 73. One more well-placed shot will go ahead and get him above and ease the pressure.
He was unable to get the finish. That extra damage he needed. The threshold will end at 40 players if 3 more get eliminated. But Reason out of the sky. You're playing against the best of Europe. They're not going to miss their shots. As Reason goes down and now potentially going to have to play it out again in the next 3 matches in the lower bracket.
Yeah, they went down on 54 points. Guess what, Takata? 3 teams are down and out on 54 points. These tiebreakers, how this game shakes out is going to be very, very interesting. But luckily for a lot of these teams, you still got that second chance in the lower bracket. Top 22 here. That means placement points are now beginning to set in. Top 10, top 8 is where you get at least half of those placement points. So that should be the bare minimum goal for a lot of these teams.
Not as difficult as a zone as we had in the previous 2 matches. There is a bit of changes in elevation, but nothing that comes close to Mount Olympus or the winter side of the map. Hijoe, Kytofv, one of the contested duos of the day. But with 520 damage above the threshold, they have no worries in terms of how much damage they need to do. They can focus strictly on their rotation.
And see, it's going down the mountain, which is a blessing for a lot of these players, but it opens up another unique thing here that we haven't really seen too much here towards the end game. That's the river sticks. That's the underworld dashes that everybody's going to have a chance to use. So finishing these fights might be easier in some cases, but harder in others, especially if you're a solo like Marius. 34 points. You need to have a Flixie-style game here where you're able to clutch up and get the points necessary to qualify on your own. And with big damage like that, no HP to regain, Marius goes down.
34 points, not going to be enough. A lot of top players are going to be competing in the lower bracket once again. Akira and Easy, though, at 42. All they need is a bit more. They just have to stay up here, and with the positioning they have, 1 crash pad to make it to zone. It does pull north, the first moving zone of the day here in the 3rd match.
In theory, this is the last easy rotation they're going to get. You talked about it being their last crash pad. Hopefully they can find something else, or maybe even have nitros in their inventory. Other than that, it's going to get exponentially harder for them to continue to rotate through this end game. Sky and Scroll have a little bit more flexibility than them. They're almost 700 above the damage threshold, but instantly fall on this next zone. What did we just witness? Hijoe's trying to stay ahead of the curve. 249 damage thanks to shots like that, but that was a drastic turn of events there.
That was insane. You could even see Hijoe, Kytofv were almost 700 above not long ago. Now dropped to 249. It's enough for the moment, but with the pressure being applied to them, it just keeps going down. Clownski, Axe Force looking to see if they can elevate themselves, but meanwhile, Artist and his duo are going to be the ones to successfully claim height for the moment.
Yep, we'll see where this next zone pulls, though. Because if it pulls over those old builds, they can possibly maintain it. Other than that, they might have to stagger and let somebody build their way up. Sky and Scroll looking like they were going so for piece control, advancing closer and closer to Queasy and Thomas, but they betted against it. Rightfully so. Ju's going to get the knock on to Queasy. Thomas is down as well. They are out in top 16.
I saw Flixie up. I don't know if Vico is standing as well. Is it going to be another clutch from Flixie to secure his spot in the grand finals? Sky and Scroll taking shots down below. They don't need too much damage, but they want to do a clean rotate here. Gotta be careful, though, as eyes are on them. No cracks yet.
Yeah, they started this game with 16 points, well below that threshold. They're trying to work their way back, but it is a marathon, not a race. Even if it's 3 games, it's going to take everything out of you. Combeck just trying to sneak his way in, but Axe Force Clousey, they spot him from above. Luckily for him, he reunites with Perhawa, but the battle for the high ground that we're waiting for has started, but it's Nate going up as a solo. Fire Hunter and Artist, they deny that opportunity, send him all the way back down low to the low ground, and that is that added pressure of those dashes. You take no fall damage, whether you have Fizz, Nitro, or not.
Hijoe with another elimination, picks up one alongside Kytofv. Both players still up. The chemistry looking like an all-time high. Is this duo going to be able to clutch it up in the last match? They're at 46 points now. They need to get at least 56 to make it. Clownski, Axe Force up as well, but they have no materials.
Yeah, you see them dashing around, trying to use those dashes, and they find Kytofv outside of the zone, get a couple of those siphon mats, replenish the dashes. They're moving. They are grooving to the tune right now, trying to pick up the pace. 50 points. They're well within range. They can smell that qualification.
Just a couple eliminations is all it's going to take. Can they stay up? Hijoe, Kytofv ahead of zone now. They want high ground. They're going for the retake. Will they be able to secure it? Meanwhile, Comeback Hijoe down in the dirt.
Yep, they started this game outside of the top 25, and they're trying to make it matter. So many teams are making this last game worth it as they're trying to push themselves into qualification range. Even includes a battle for the high ground. Axe Force, Clownski, Kytofv, Hijoe, and they're just pressuring down below, forcing them out of their space. Hey, we worked for this, we've earned this, and we will not be denied this big game win.
Just one more placement, just one more elimination. Every point matters when you're on the threshold. Clownski and Axe Force, they need to close this one out.
Most of the players left alive in this game are outside of the top 25, which means they're giving themselves a fighting chance. Hijoe, Kytofv, Hijoe is going to begin just a little bit early outside of the zone. He's trying to catch up because the floppers are now down and out. Vico is gone. He was left by himself by Flixie, but they're definitely into the grand finals already. Axe Force, Clownski, they're one of the few duos left alive, but they're still a solo in their path.
They needed a huge match to qualify, and it looks like they're delivering. Just 4 players up now, 2 duos as Hijoe is going to be the one that cleans it up. What just happened?
That was a big opportunity. Both of those teams needed the big game, and I think they've got what they were looking for. They didn't need a map because they had the recipe for success. You got to give them a huge round of applause, but now we got to go down to the leaderboard, Takata, because I'm just looking right now. I was throughout the game, 13 players at one point or another. There was more players outside of the bubble than there was inside of that bubble. So that leaderboard has been shaken up for sure.
I'm trying to do calculations. I'm trying to figure out what just went down, but there was just too much chaos. I mean, Hijoe and the opposing duo that was up above both needed a massive game to qualify to the grand finals, and they delivered. First and second place. You can see here how Kytofv was actually able to secure some of those final eliminations. Meanwhile, Axe Force was staying above on height, claiming as much placement as possible, but it was the flank from Kytofv, the double shotgun shot to close it off. What a finish.
I said it while it was happening. They were distracted by the only solo left in the lobby, and one of them took the low ground, one of them took the high ground, and they just went ahead and sealed that deal. Big games for a lot of these players all around. I would be a liar if I say I was disappointed, because this was probably one of the best 3 games that we've seen in a long time.
It's what you love to see. It was intense. It was what you expect from an upper bracket, but we got to see how that shook up the leaderboard, and there's only 3 people that can tell us that. So Frankie, Levin, and Minnie, what do we got?